Granit Xhaka is having one of the best chapters of his entire career at Sunderland.
And now Granit Xhaka, it's deflected in! 42 seconds into the second half, and Sunderland are level!
He's the captain, the leader, the heartbeat of a newly promoted team that's punching way above its weight.
While when we come to the conversation about players of the season, signings of the summer, Granit Xhaka, my new neighbour, funny enough, would be right up there.
When he left Bayer Leverkusen to join Sunderland in the summer, a lot of people were confused. Why would a double-winning midfielder, fresh off an unbeaten season in Germany, swap a title-chasing side for a team just up from the championship? On paper, it looked like a step down, but now it's obvious he made the right call. Sunderland have shocked everyone this season. They've been as high as the top 4, literally sitting in a Champions League spot at times. Something nobody thought was realistic for a promoted side. And Xhaka, he's been at the center of it all. He scored his first Premier League goal since 2023 with a rocket from outside the box against Everton to earn a 1-1 draw. That result sent Sunderland back into the top 4 at the time. He's already got multiple assists, ranks among the league leaders for chances created and set play chances, and even sits near the top for long passes completed, passes made, and possessions won.
He must be the signing of the season. You know, you look at those numbers. When you think of someone who's influential on their team, I've been calling Manchester City the Erling Haaland team.
Also the Gabriel team?
Yes. Yeah. Is there anybody right now in the Premier League having a bigger influence on their club than Granit Xhaka? They can't be.
But it's not just about the numbers. On the pitch, Xhaka plays like a second coach. He organizes the team, he motivates the players, and sets the tempo. The Sunderland boss, Régis Lebris, has praised how important Xhaka is for this young squad. He brings experience and maturity. Xhaka is a much calmer and more mature version of himself than the fiery guy that people remember from Arsenal. Under his leadership, Sunderland aren't just trying to survive. They're actually playing brave, confident football and taking points away from the big boys. They look organized, fearless, and like a team that truly believes it belongs at the top end of the Premier League. Now, Xhaka didn't just appear out of nowhere as this world-class leader. It's been a long journey to get to this point. In fact, it's been an absolute roller coaster of a ride. But all of those chapters led him to here, to Sunderland. His story actually started in Switzerland. He grew up in FC Basel's academy and made the jump to the first team as a teenager in 2010. Right away, he was part of a winning team. In his very first season, Basel won the Swiss Super League. Not bad for an 18-year-old just breaking into senior football. The next season was even better. Xhaka became an important part of a Basel side that absolutely dominated Switzerland. They didn't just win the league again, they won it comfortably. And they also added the Swiss Cup to complete the double. These early years showed everyone what kind of player Xhaka could become. He was competitive, confident, and already had a winning mentality. After 2 seasons of lifting trophies in Switzerland, the 19-year-old Xhaka took the next big step in his career. In May of 2012, he moved to the Bundesliga to join Borussia Mönchengladbach, ready to test himself at a higher level. Xhaka's move to Germany was the moment that he really started becoming the player everyone knows today. He became a regular starter, and by his 3rd season, he was playing every single Bundesliga match. That consistency helped Gladbach finish 3rd in the 2014-2015 season, earning a Champions League spot. It was a massive achievement for them, and Xhaka was right in the middle of it. What made him stand out wasn't just his passing or his physicality. He really had a presence on the pitch. People nowadays call it aura. Like, even though this guy was in his early 20s, he played like someone much older, always communicating, always demanding more from himself and from his teammates. It's something that coaches and his teammates noticed right away. Then came one of the biggest turning points in his career. At the start of the 2015-2016 season, Gladbach were a mess. They had lost their first 5 league games and sat at the bottom of the table. And that's when new coach Andre Schubert made a bold call. He handed the captain's armband to the 22-year-old Xhaka. Now, most players that young would probably crumble under the pressure, but Xhaka did the opposite. He embraced the new leadership role. The team suddenly came alive, and with Xhaka leading them from midfield, Gladbach went on a stunning run. They climbed from last place all the way up to 4th by the end of the season. It was one of the biggest turnarounds in Bundesliga history, and Xhaka's leadership was a huge part of it. Now, of course, Xhaka wasn't perfect. His aggressive style sometimes got the better of him, and naturally, he picked up a few red cards along the way. But that fire and intensity was what made him so special. He played with a chip on his shoulder. He played like he hated to lose, and that's something you can't teach. By 2016, his reputation had really exploded. People who watched the Bundesliga saw him as one of the best young midfielders in Germany. He was strong on the ball, he was fearless in duels, and he was already a natural leader. And that's when Arsenal came calling with a big offer, reportedly around £35 million. And for Xhaka, the Premier League was the next big challenge waiting for him. Now, Xhaka's spell at Arsenal was anything but boring. It was more up and down than Lily Phillips's neck. When he first arrived in 2016, he was one of Arsene Wenger's major signings, a tough ball-playing midfielder who was supposed to bring control and leadership to a team that desperately needed it. Early on, things looked promising. Xhaka did his thing. He scored a few screamers from long range, became a regular starter, and helped Arsenal lift the 2017 FA Cup and the Community Shield. Those first seasons felt like the beginning of something solid. But the real story of Xhaka at Arsenal is what happened during the difficult years. By 2019, Unai Emery had trusted him enough to make him club captain. But then came the moment that every Arsenal fan remembers, the Crystal Palace incident. It was October 27, 2019. Arsenal were struggling, the fans were frustrated, and one of the players that they blamed was Xhaka. They were not happy with his performances, so when he was subbed off, the Emirates crowd booed him loudly. Xhaka, who was already feeling the weight of months of criticism, just snapped. He cupped his ears, shouted back at the fans, and took his shirt off before walking straight down the tunnel. It was an explosion of emotion from someone who felt fed up with being blamed for everything. The fallout was huge. Emery publicly said that Xhaka was wrong and asked him to apologize. Later on, the club stripped him of his captaincy. And just like that, his future at Arsenal looked finished.
It's really hard to come back from that.
Many thought that he should leave. Others felt sympathy for him. It didn't help that he had built up a reputation for red cards and reckless tackle. 5 red cards by that point, which made him a really easy target during the team's worst periods. Now, most players probably would have left immediately, but Xhaka didn't. He stayed and slowly rebuilt his reputation. A big part of that was Mikel Arteta, because when he came in as manager, everything changed.
He's a freak, but in a positive way, because he see details. I didn't have a coach, he see that.
Arteta backed him, trusted him, and gave him a clear role. Playing as that left-sided number 8, Xhaka was a big part of why Arsenal became good almost out of nowhere. He responded to the criticism with maturity and consistency on the pitch, becoming one of the most reliable players in the squad. In the 2022-2023 season, he was playing the best football of his Arsenal career. He scored 9 goals and provided 7 assists in the Premier League, and was a big part of Arsenal's surprise title push. Though he played unbelievably well, ultimately he ended up leaving. After 7 emotional years in North London. Years that saw him lift trophies, be involved in controversy, and yet still redeem himself. But Xhaka knew it was time to move on. So in July of 2023, he left Arsenal for a fresh start at Bayer Leverkusen, closing one of the most dramatic chapters of his career. Xhaka's move to Bayer Leverkusen turned out to be one of the best decisions of his career, and one of the smartest signings the club had ever made. From the moment he arrived, he fit perfectly into Xabi Alonso's system. Leverkusen needed someone with leadership, composure, and experience in big games, and Xhaka brought all of that from day one. He wasn't just another midfielder. In the double pivot in Xabi's 3-back system, Xhaka became the glue that held the team together. The 2023-2024 season was nothing short of historic. Leverkusen had always been known as Neverkusen because they constantly fell short in big moments. But with Xhaka in the middle of the park, everything changed. The team went on an unbelievable run, dominating the Bundesliga from start to finish. In April of 2024, Xhaka scored in the match that officially secured the club's first ever league title. An unbelievable moment. These guys won the Bundesliga undefeated. But the success didn't just end there. A month later, he stepped up again on the biggest stage, scoring the only goal in the DFB Pokal final. That strike won Leverkusen their 2nd ever German Cup and completed a historic domestic double. And I told you guys, the craziest part is that they went invincible the entire season, unbeaten, until an unfortunate loss in the Europa League. Could you imagine if they won the treble undefeated? Regardless, it was one of the greatest years that any German club has ever produced, and it came from a club not known as Bayern Munich. There were many great players on that team like Florian Wirtz, Frimpong, but Xhaka was a huge part of that success. His leadership was talked about constantly. He raised the standards and brought a winning mentality to that young team. The younger players looked up to him. Alonso trusted him completely, and the fans loved how he played with passion, but also with intelligence. He controlled the game on the ball, broke lines with his passes, and really stepped up in the big moments. I mean, he was helping Leverkusen defensively while also scoring goals in huge matches. The following season, Leverkusen weren't as good as they were in the 2024 season, but they were strong again, and Xhaka remained the heartbeat of the midfield. That's why so many people were shocked when the news broke in 2025 that he was leaving. Leverkusen were in the Champions League, they were still one of the best teams in Europe, and he was a key player. But the Premier League called him back. Now, it wasn't a giant club, it was to a bold project at a newly promoted Sunderland. On the surface, it looked like a step down, but for Xhaka, it was a chance to lead, to build something new, and take on another challenge that suited his personality, which was to prove people wrong all over again. Other factors helped too. He saw that Ten Hag was going to be the manager, and who wants to play under that guy? And at this point, Leverkusen were gutted. Frimpong and Wirtz had both left, and Alonso was the Real Madrid manager. Add all those factors up, and Sunderland looked like a great destination. When he signed for them in July of 2025, a lot of people didn't know what to make of it. Now we're seeing it be a brilliant move, but at the time, there were question marks. But Xhaka knew exactly what he was doing. From the moment he walked through the door, Regis Lebris handed him the captain's armband, immediately trusting that this guy can lead the team, even though he wasn't a part of the squad that got promoted. Xhaka embraced the role immediately. On the pitch, he became the voice, the organizer, the skipper. Lebris wasn't exaggerating when he said that Xhaka was like a second coach out there. You could see it instantly in the way that Sunderland played. When he's on the ball, they're more calm, more structured, way more confident, and the results have reflected that. Sunderland were expected to be fighting relegation. Instead, they came out flying. After 13 games, they were still sitting in the top 4, the highest position they've ever been in that stage of any Premier League season. It was the kind of start that nobody believed was possible. And once again, Xhaka was at the center of it all for a team that was successful. Defensively, he changed everything. He's so solid in the midfield, and he gives the younger players a sense of security. He was leading the entire league in interceptions and distance covered. At 33 years old, he was outrunning kids in their early 20s, still winning tackles, winning duels, and winning headers, doing the dirty work that keeps the team alive in the Premier League. Then there's been games where he's completely took over. In the 1-0 win against Nottingham Forest, he ran over 11 kilometers, broke up attack after attack. At one point, he even dropped into the back line to help protect the lead. These are the kind of performances that never trend online. They're not going to be talked about that much, but inside a dressing room, they make you a hero. And Xhaka isn't just helping Sunderland defensively, he's helped them a ton going forward. By early November, he had scored his first Sunderland goal, a clutch equalizer against Everton. He also picked up multiple assists that directly won Sunderland points. A perfect set-piece cross for Omar Alderete. A cheeky lifted ball over Aston Villa's back line for Wilson Isidore. A wicked cross after leading a counterattack himself. Every assist of his felt huge. Every contribution was leading to wins. People already started calling him the signing of the season, and to be honest, they weren't wrong. Xhaka raised the entire club's level. Sunderland looked more mature, more confident, more fearless than ever before. I don't think the Stadium of Light has seen football this exciting in years, and a big part of that comes from Xhaka setting a new standard every match day. You can see how the team responds to him. You can just give him the ball in the middle of the park and he'll dictate the tempo. He sets the tone when he's lunging in with these crunching tackles. What started as a strange transfer has turned into a perfect partnership. Sunderland have given Xhaka the responsibility and leadership role he's always wanted. Xhaka gives Sunderland experience, quality, and belief. It's crazy that he's re-established himself as one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, even at 33. His journey has taken him everywhere, from Basel to Gladbach, through the chaos of Arsenal, to the glory of Leverkusen, and now to Sunderland, where he's writing arguably the most impressive chapter of his career. He took a gamble, backed himself, and proved everyone wrong again. For Sunderland, it's been a signing of a lifetime. Now the team around him is very good. To see just how good the new look Sunderland squad is, you have to watch this video right here.